Good morning, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with a hurricane outlook and discussion for November 1st, 2022, around 9:13 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot to talk about this morning, including Tropical Storm Lisa heading for portions of Central America like Belize. Hurricane Lisa is incoming, and another tropical system that could be forming, so let's go and jump straight into everything. Taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this morning, we noticed that we have two systems out there. First of all, Invest Area 96L. This was formerly Invest 94L. This is now northeast of Bermuda and does have a 90% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone in the North Atlantic. And then we also, in the Caribbean, have Tropical Storm Lisa well on its way to becoming a hurricane as it nears landfall in Belize. If we take a look here at Invest Area 96L this morning, we notice that the system has become a lot better organized today and is producing shower and thunderstorm activity around a low-level circulation. We can see those 10-meter wind fields and the MSLP tightening up, spiraling inwards, and this indicates that we do have a low-level circulation likely to become a tropical or subtropical cyclone later today. Now, turning our attention to Tropical Storm Lisa, it has become better organized since yesterday and is now producing shower and thunderstorm activity around a low-level circulation, helping to tighten that pressure gradient and lower the pressures. We're still looking at pressures around 1,004 millibars this morning, but the wind has definitely gone up now at about 45 miles per hour, and this is likely to become our next hurricane over the next couple of days as this moves westward towards Belize. If we look at where Lisa is expected to track over the next several days, we can see that, first of all, this is still expected to become a hurricane right before it makes landfall in Belize. We have a hurricane watch that has been issued for Belize and Honduras. We have a tropical storm warning for the northern coast of Central America. And then we have a tropical storm watch north of the hurricane watch area. Now, these, especially the hurricane watch, will likely be upgraded to hurricane warning later today. This eventually will make landfall in the next couple of days and rapidly weaken as it interacts with the high train of Central America, bringing heavy rain, wind, and storm surge. Taking a look here at the water vapor satellite imagery, one of the things that might actually hinder substantial organization of this system will be that mid-level dry air. We noticed all those orange colors in there. This indicates the presence of mid-level dry air in the atmosphere, and that might help to bring some of that into the inner core and potentially weaken this system just a tad bit, or at least, kind of really put the lid on how strong this system could get. However, it is still expected that this will become a hurricane and potentially closing in on Category 2 intensity as this makes landfall in Belize. So for those reasons alone, you do need to be preparing for an intense hurricane landfall. Looking at the GFS 10-meter wind field and the mean sea level pressure, we notice the system rapidly organizing as it slides westward over the next day or so, making landfall in Belize, and then moving into Central America where that energy will dissipate. We notice actually maybe a gap wind event across in the eastern Pacific there and portions of Mexico that could create some high winds over there. But generally speaking, this is after landfall expected to pretty much dissipate. However, there still might be some remnant energy we'll have to talk about. Looking at the estimated rainfall totals coming off the GFS forecast, we notice that over the next several days, again, that heavy rainfall spreads inland as the system makes landfall, and rainfall amounts definitely could get up there closer towards 6 or 7 inches in spots across portions of Belize and Central America as the system makes landfall. And even along the northern coast there of Central America, we could still see potential problems as well, with heavy rainfall spreading well inland away from the actual center location. So it's important to remember that impacts will be felt well away from where the center makes landfall. Heavy rainfall upwards of 7 inches is possible, maybe higher. Now, one of the things responsible for carrying this into Central America is a building ridge of high pressure over the Gulf Coast states and over the Midwestern U.S. However, as the system makes landfall, we may see some of the remnant energy make its way back into the Gulf of Mexico. And actually, some of the forecast guidance today has actually suggested that. However, we can see here on the GFS 300 millibar wind here, or 300 millibar heights, and the 10-meter wind, that even though we will have this ridge over the Gulf of Mexico, this really is going to prevent substantial northward movement into the Gulf Coast states. And in fact, it really doesn't appear until roughly about the 4th of November that we start getting a trough to dig in that would carry some of that energy northward. But I'm not really seeing a threat for the U.S. Gulf Coast at this point. One of the main reasons why I say I don't really see a threat for the United States Gulf Coast, we're taking a look at the GFS 300 millibar wind. So we're looking at the shear in the upper part of the atmosphere. And we notice that although shear initially will be relatively light, as that trough begins to slide in, this is also responsible for severe weather. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as that trough digs in, this is going to be responsible for creating shear across the Gulf of Mexico. And this would likely limit any substantial organization of any system out there. So for that reason alone, I just don't really see the threat for any substantial impacts to the U.S. Gulf Coast or anywhere really at this particular moment. However, it is entirely possible that we do have another system developing behind this system as well. We're taking a look here at the GFS vorticity and 300 millibar wind. We notice here that we actually do have kind of a conglomerate mess of systems that tries to develop in the southwestern Atlantic within about the next 6 or 7 days. And this has kind of been suggested by some of the forecast guidance that there will be an area of lower pressure sitting somewhere between the Bahamas and Florida. Not a significant threat, but something to monitor. Now looking at United States weather today, we notice that it is pretty calm across the Midwest. However, we do have storm systems ongoing in the Northwest, Texas, and across portions of the northeastern U.S. We have a strong storm system diving in over the next couple of days that is likely to bring a potential significant severe weather event across portions of Texas and the Midwest. So let's go and look at that. So looking at those severe weather risks on day 3, Thursday, we have a slight risk for severe storms across portions of Texas into Oklahoma and Kansas, 15% area there. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes definitely will be a threat there. And on day 4 for Friday, slight risk across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, into Kansas. Marginal risk would be surrounding that. And on day 5, there is no risk for severe storms at this point. So with that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley, and I'll be talking to you guys again some more tomorrow.